Welcome along once again to the Cardiff City phone-in, which has been running for 21 years or whatever. And I mention that because it's the worst ever start to a season, I think, for Cardiff City, pretty well officially. And according to the BBC today, one of the worst ever starts to a championship season by any team in the history of the championship. So things aren't going well is an understatement. I was out in Bulgaria last week and I could only get the audio only feed, but even I was there with my daughter, so she could hear the groaning coming from one part of the apartment to the other as the goals were flying in. And having watched the highlights, wow, talk about fall apart. Let's go to Steve firstly. You were there again on the weekend, Steve. You've been to a litany of disastrous away performances. Same old. Reza comes in. There were some signs of positivity, I think, Steve. Is that right?
Yeah, there were some signs. You're right, Steve. As people often say, our friend Richard Davies has it, I think, every time, it's the hope that kills you. We go and take the lead at the start of the game. Talking before we went on air with John, we did actually press quite well, which is what Rizza said we were going to do, and we got the good start. But again, when my son played youth football, I've been screaming at his management to sort out the fact that Jamilu Collins on the left-hand side was completely exposed. Every time they came forward on their right-hand side, our left, they had a man over. Nobody seemed to spot this. No surprise that their first two goals came down that side. I think Jack Annett, being a very proficient goalkeeper, is very lucky for us. Otherwise, our goal difference would be even worse than it is. But we looked a complete shambles at the back. Yes, we had chances. Yes, there were some positive signs. I don't actually think we've got a squad of players that's capable of getting into a relegation scrap. You look at some of the individuals. I don't think they're up to it. We need to get somebody in, but the question is, who do we get in? We'd either have to have a desperate old manager or a desperate young manager. We're not going to get Nathan Jones because he's tied into Charlton, even though he's made no secret of the fact he wants to come back to us. Somebody with some managerial record at least. But I'm very positive usually, as you know, Steve. But I'm really fearing the worst now.
Okay, I'll go to John next. Obviously, John, you've been pushing for Arrow Bullet to depart for some time. Things are so bad, and then Omar Reza comes in, and we get stuck about at 4-1 by a team who haven't had a great season, really. Hell, so. Could we have Guardiola in charge and we'd still be terrible? Is it the players? Is it the formation? Is it the management? Is it lack of confidence? What is it?
Even though Steve, I didn't want Errol Bullet right from day one. I didn't want him. I just knew he wasn't the right fit for our club. But players got to take responsibility as well. Even though they don't agree with the manager's tactics, his formations, whatever, you put that shirt on. You wear that with pride and you put a shift in. No sulking and moping around. You put a shift in. And it's not just in Bullet's fault and all that, but players got to take responsibility as well, from the top to the bottom. And it doesn't matter what manager you have in there. I don't know what to say, really. It's just going to be so, like Steve says, it's going to be so difficult. I hate myself for saying it, but I think we're down. Because we've been lucky the past few seasons, and your luck only lasts so long.
Yeah. So this has been sort of slowly creeping up on us, John. Would you say? And we've kind of dug our own hole, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I said to you early on, Steve, I think the best players have gone out on loan. I really, really do. I'd have Joe Colwell playing. I'd have Conte playing. Capaccio. That rained off. I'd have him up front. Saturday, I would have had two up front myself personally. I would have had two up front myself personally.
Gary, you've obviously, great to get you back on, by the way. And I should say as well, thanks very much to Simon Willis for looking after the show last week. Much appreciated. Gary, you've been watching the City for many a year. In terms of how you feel about the club at the moment, is this kind of a low point?
Yeah, pretty much so. I agree with Steve said. Looking at it Saturday, I just don't know if we got the players there. Whichever manager comes in, whoever it ends up being, at the moment I don't see the players there. I've got the stomach for a relegation battle. You know, they're leaderless at the moment. You know, there's no one in. There's no characters there. There's nobody. They'll change the side again tomorrow, or probably because obviously a couple of injuries and etc. And it'll be the same old. And yet I'm pretty down at the moment. It seems crazy to say 7 games into a season that we're nailed on for relegation, but I just don't see where. You know, are we going to win tomorrow? I don't think so. Are we going to win at Bristol? I don't think so. And then we're in the international break then. How long it's going to take to appoint a manager? We won't get a manager. We're not going to get a manager who's currently under contract with anybody. We're going to get someone who's out of work, aren't we? Yes, that's a fact, isn't it? He's not going to pay. I don't think he's going to pay another club, you know, millions to get someone in like Nathan Jones, even if we were desperate to get him, because it's going to cost a lot of money. So I really don't see, and I just don't see. There's nobody coming back, is it? Look, and the injuries again. The injuries were picking up early on. Fish probably won't play tomorrow. Or Dowder's probably doubtful.
He's got a hamstring issue.
Literally, Darlin probably, who looks a decent player. And probably,
I like him, yeah.
Yeah, he looks in the game and a half we've seen. But even in that game against Middlesbrough, wasn't it? They kept him on for like 30. They kept him on the pitch. He was obviously struggling after 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. The guy sat down 3 times, and there's the back. See, I think whoever comes in now, we've got to sweep the, you know, we've got to get rid of every, you know, even the medical staff maybe. You know, we seem to be picking up injuries left, right and centre. The back.
A hell of a lot of injuries, aren't there?
Hell of a lot of injuries, you know. And you've got to, you know, whoever comes in has got to have a look, you know, and just have a look at what we got there, because it is depressing. It's, you know, it's same old, isn't it? Another manager, how long is he going to last, you know? If we were going to get rid of Bullock, get rid of him in the summer, you know, and just get a new, you know, manager in right from day one, you know. It is depressing at the moment. I just can't see where we're going to get a win.
Well, the other week we did a show. I think it was after the Leeds game, you know, and it was pretty grim. You know, it wasn't great, and you know, there was some criticism, the saying we were just too negative and too critical and too dark, you know. And as I said at the time on that show, and I'll say it again, you know, you've got to say how it is. We're all here because we love Cardiff City. We want Cardiff City to do well. We're not here to slag them off. We're not here to slag off individual players or anything else. You know, we just want our club to do well. But when you have such an absolutely abysmal record, the goals we're conceding is absolutely off the scale. Getting battered, we're one of the worst sides in the entire football league. I think you can safely say, maybe things aren't going very well. You know, you can only have even the most rose-tinted spectacles in the world, Gary, would struggle to paint a decent picture of this right now, wouldn't they? Even though we're only, you know, a handful plus of games in, it's not good.
Yeah, I don't know what the other boys think. I mean, signings as well. Who's making those signings at them? You know, who is? I know they've got this 4-man committee and they identifying players, and they've got agents involved, and people looking at a scouting system. But it beggars belief, really, because we're talking off air when we about Chambers. He looks shocking at the moment, and you know, El Ghazi hasn't really played football for 9 months. You know, he comes in, he's taken him 2 months to get anywhere near being able to start a game. I don't know, some of the signings, a bit weird, really. I really don't know. And Kanga looks, you know, I know he hasn't had a lot to play with. You know, he hasn't a lot of ammunition, but he just looks hopeless at the moment, doesn't he? You know, well, we just haven't got enough goals on our side, Steve. We just haven't got goals in the team.
Okay, I'm looking on its transfer market, you know, and they reckon he's worth 4 million. And you know, he's played for an awful lot of clubs and lots of different competitions, and he has scored goals. You know, is it a Steve? Do you think is it a confidence issue with Kanga? Does he need one to go in and then he goes from there, or you know, is he as poor as he appears?
Steve, yeah, he had one very good chance on Saturday when he was actually played through, but he made completely the wrong decision. And when he did touch the ball, he didn't shoot early. He had a very poor first touch, letting the goalkeeper. And incidentally, Hull's goalkeeper wouldn't have filled me with huge confidence either. He didn't be that good. Yet he seemed to be good enough that he was able to stop what we were throwing at them. I don't think Kanga's the answer. I don't know what the question was if he is the answer, but it was really, really difficult watch with him. I think, as Carl just said there, yeah, that's correct. We did press well and we did look good, but then as soon as things start going wrong, a lot of the players didn't seem to know where they were playing as well. I think if Rizza is going to make a success of it, they've got to work out who's going to be playing where. Now, it's all very well to say we're going to attack more, but if we're going to attack more and we're going to leave players like El Ghazi up, then what are we going to do, as happened to Collins, sorry to sound like a broken record, on Saturday, that he's constantly exposed? If we're going to play that, if we're going to play a system whereby we're going to attack more, we've got to organise it better, frankly. And it seemed to me that a lot of the players didn't really know what they were supposed to be doing. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Rinna Motta play right back before, yet he came on and got put in that position. I didn't see where it's coming from. And also, we were being overrun not only in defence but in midfield as well. Holt able to come forward at will. I would like to say as well that if we I have it said on a more positive note. Sorry to throw this in there, but if we look, no, Jeff, he's not awake just yet. Not awake just yet. If we have Darland and Fish in centre back, I think we do much better. If we had a fit Ramsey in midfield, we do much better. If we hadn't lost, I know it's a lot of ifs and buts. If we hadn't lost Isaac Davis and Etete at the start, we may be doing differently. However, we are where we are. We've got the squad again. Looked at the bench on Saturday. Sorry, I'm on a rant again. I looked at the bench on Saturday and thought, there's nobody on that bench who's going to change anything. I mean, if Ollie Tanner's not playing against Swansea, he doesn't seem to do anything.
I'll just whiz around on one. John, Martin, totally agreeing with you. By the way, sending out Eli and Joel on loan, was scandalous. Just to whiz around on this one, I'll start with you, Gary, and then we'll go to Steve and John. Johnny, I don't know whether you're deliberately becoming more gloomy, but you're very dark there.
I'm not very good. I'll be honest with Steve.
It's a bit early in the season for that.
No, I'm not very good with this monarchy.
That's all right. That's okay.
It's like the krypton fact that it is, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Just lean in a bit, John, and we can see you then anyway. But Gary, so with Rizza, because Rizza was obviously close with Errol Bullitt, and the formation he went with, he still went with kind of inverted wingers. He still went 4-2, 4-2-3-1. Is he? Do you think yourself, Gary? I'll go start with you. Do you think it's kind of guilt by association, with the players because he was like close to Errol, and they think, oh, it's just Errol again. It's his right hand man sort of thing. Is it not enough of a change?
No, I don't think so. It's another stopgap. I don't think he stays. Does he really? I think we got to get sweet. I think I know he's only been there like literally weeks, a couple of months. But I think whoever comes in, they just got to get their own people in. And I think the players need a different voice now, a totally different voice, a different way. I think sometimes the dressing room is listening to the same people all the time, and I think it's I think they just need to get any sort of reaction out of them, I think we got to go a different, just a different way. And it's like Steve said before, though, we're going to end up with somebody like a Warnock, like a Mick McCarthy, maybe. They're going to go for a firefighter, probably, aren't they? Because we're in such a hole at the moment. We just got to get our first win under our belt, don't we, for a start? So I mean, but I think you need. I don't think you need anybody there really. I think right from the backroom staff, the medical people, maybe the train, everything. You just need a new slant on it really, and just try and because I think we need something pretty drastic really to try and snap people out of it. Whether we got the players there at the moment to do that, as we said before, whoever comes in is another matter. Yeah.
So I'll ask the same question. I got to you, John. Well done, by the way. That's great. Much better there. Same question, John. Is it guilt by association with Rizza because he was kind of Errol's pretty well his right hand man, and so the players, well, it's Errol again, really.
I think we're carrying on last season's form into this one. That's what I think. After that,
we were really poor, weren't we, towards the end? Really poor.
God. I'm not being big or funny. Like I went to only missed one away game last season, and games up like at Sheffield Wednesday, Preston, Sunderland, and a couple of others.
Even Rotherham.
Yeah. How the hell we won those games and
Yeah.
Watford? How we won?
Yeah.
I will never know, because it was like the battle of animal. It was those games, wave after wave of attack. Honestly, and how we won, I never know. But as I said to you, start honestly, your luck only lasts with you so long, you know.
Yeah. So okay. I'll come back to you in a second, John. Actually, Steve, what thoughts on the Reza Bullet thing?
Well, Risa was Bullet's man. If you look at his record, wasn't he? His first managerial experience was at Cheshunt, and he did actually be a caretaker at Leighton Orient, I think, for a little while.
He was at Watford as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at Watford. I think it was disappointing not to have more of a crack at Watford, but he's not really got the pedigree. He says he wants the job. Good luck to him. I would dearly love us to turn Millwall over tomorrow night. I would dearly love us to go to Bristol and win again on the weekend. I want us to win every game. Genuinely, we all do. We're Cardiff City fans. I don't care who's in charge. I just want us to win games. I don't care how we win the games, frankly. I'd rather win 1-0 with a goal off somebody's backside rather than lose a game 4-3 that's desperately exciting for the neutral. I don't give two figs about a neutral. I just want to win games. And at the moment, we're not set up to defend and we're not set up to attack. So
yeah.
If Rizza can prove to me, he says he's a more attacking coach, but that can't be at the expense of the defence.
Okay. The only thing I'd put in there, to excuse the pun, in his defence, was obviously we were down to the bare bones defensively on the weekend. I think Gutas had a family issue, so he wasn't available. When you saw the team, you saw Siopis and Gutas missing. You wondered with the Arrow Bullet connection, but apparently Manolas had an injury. And Dimi had a family issue. But then, of course, when Fish went off, then, John, really down to the bare bones. And, I don't know, I don't want to pick on players individually, maybe, but let's say we had a makeshift defence, and that didn't suit Chambers, did it?
No, I think Chambers is more of a right back than a centre half, myself personally. He's more of a right back, and I haven't been impressed with him. And he's got 4 caps for England, isn't he? And
yeah, he played in the Premiership, and the passing against Leeds,
Yeah, he don't do it for me. I'll be totally honest. NG's gone backwards.
Yeah.
Collins, not for me.
But he looked great, didn't he, before his injury, didn't he?
Oh, he was fantastic before that injury up in West Brom. I was up there and saw when he had that injury, his ankle just went over like that. And I said to my mate, he's going to be out for a long time.
And it doesn't just affect you. It doesn't just affect you. And I want to come back to Reese's comment, by the way, on the screen. But it doesn't just affect you physically, does it? When you get a bad injury like that, it's a career-threatening injury. Yeah. It also, mentally. And I think maybe a lot of players sometimes from an injury like that, unfortunately, may never be the same player again. Briefly from you, John, and then I'll go to Gary. The comment there from Reese about Nathan Jones, that he's very defensive. The fans, also being on his back, calling it boring football, etc., and the long ball and all the rest of it. Are you part of the Nathan Jones, yes, please thing?
One part of me would love him to come to Cardiff City, because Ron the Boy, he was at Cardiff City, but he didn't quite make the grade. Nathan Blake got in instead of him, but he's Cardiff City nuts, Nathan Jones, and one part of me would love him to come and manage Cardiff City. But it's like I keep telling everyone, my mates, I keep telling everyone, it's that magic word, balance. And you've got to get the right balance in your team, when to attack, when to defend. And we've been crying out for a not just a striker, but a cracking midfielder. And I've been saying it for years. Can up the tempo of the game, lower the tempo of the game. Everything goes through him. Say, for example, like a Barry Bamman, Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, what a good player he is.
Yeah, someone like that we need it, in the midfield. You can have the best strikers in the world.
You could argue, couldn't you, that Aaron Ramsey could have been that player, but you can see Aaron obviously clearly, gone, Steve. He which leads us on to a second matter, which we'll come to in a bit, really. So Gary, to ask more generally, because some people are asking this in the chat here, who would you go to? Somebody called Woobalator, which is a good name. Who would you, Gary, realistically pick as the next manager?
Do you know, Steve? I have not got a clue, because I really, the ones mentioned, there's Schumacher's name's been mentioned, and a couple of old things that, I mean, some of the names mentioned on sort of message boards and are absolutely ridiculous, aren't they, really? So, like David Moyes, yeah, well, he's going to come down. It's ridiculous. I mean, I really don't know. Sam Allardyce, Mark Hughes was mentioned on one. My God. Anyway,
no thanks.
No thanks. I just don't know, because I really don't know I know nothing about, not a lot about Schumacher and other people, and it's just like, that's the worry now. He's gone, Bullett's gone, and then we've got this we've got this committee now supposedly doing their due diligence on making a list. How long do you think it's going to be before we actually appoint a full-time manager?
Well, they're saying it's not a crisis, Gary.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
aren't they? It's not a crisis, apparently.
I mean, it's it won't be before Bristol, although there's hints that they might be, because they're panicking even more now, aren't they, after Saturday? Because that's another, like Steve said, there's another 4-1 battering we've had against a team who were a mid-table side, Hull City, aren't they? And we're losing to these teams who we know are pretty average, and they are absolutely, killing us, and that's how bad it is at the moment, though. Well, we don't score goals. We've scored 2 goals in 7 games, and we're letting in goals at a phenomenal. I mean, our goals difference already.
We've got 1 goal scorer.
Yeah. So I don't know, Steve. I don't know if the other boys got any idea, but who do we want? Who can we get? I really don't know.
Steve,
I really don't know.
Well, I think they might be looking to see if they're waiting for the international break. There may be some managers that may get the boot before then. In which case, we may be able to get somebody on the cheap, because we've now got Bullitt and his backroom staff to pay off, along with the other managers who we're paying off from years gone by. Instead, interesting that we've got one of the managers that we may still be paying off coming back tomorrow night, in Neil Harris, who did a reasonable job, I think, when he came in after Neil Warnock, and did actually get us in the playoffs with the dregs of our Premier League side.
Yeah.
He went on a poor run, ended up getting sacked, and it was Mick McCarthy after that, wasn't it? So I think we've lurched from, all of those 3 that Carl's just put up there are likely to be, or are on the market at the moment.
Because they always are.
Yeah, it comes down to the fact that it's the managerial merry-go-round, and it's either as I said earlier, it's either going to be a desperate old manager who wants to get back into work because he's missing the income, or a desperate young manager. Now, at the moment, we've got a desperate young manager in Rizza, but I don't think he's got the pedigree. I don't think he's got the guidance. But again, you hear it over and over again. Whilst Ken and Mehmet may or may not be very nice blokes, when I've met and spoke to them, they seem perfectly pleasant with their heart in the right place. But they're not football people, so they're constantly appointing the wrong people. I mean, this Bullitt was Mehmet's choice. Mehmet brought in Solskjaer, and Solskjaer I thought was a disaster as well. When he came into us. So how many more mistakes do they have to make before they start talking to somebody who might have an inkling about who could be a suitable manager for Cardiff City?
Well, that leads us on to another part of this, really. I come to you, John, on this, is this kind of obstinacy of VT, Vincent Tan, to take on a director of football. We all say, seems like a good idea, doesn't seem to want to do it. It's very reticent to do so. But Cardiff City in the past, because of the people who run the club, who in lots of ways have kept us in business, let's be honest, wherever our thoughts on it are. The Man United thing, I think that's why we went red, because Man United play in red sort of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if someone like Mark Hughes, the fans are going to love him. He played for Man United. Well, who's actually got any football nous? I think we know the answer to that, John, don't we? To actually make these decisions.
Well, Ramsey's got his badges, isn't he?
I like Ramsey. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, his legs are gone. If I was Aaron Ramsey, I'd hang the boots up. His legs are gone. That's his body telling him enough's enough. and say, just only a suggestion, and say for argument's sake, like have a Warnock over him to the end of the season. You know, he's like his little apprentice, in other words, like, you know what I mean? You know
Yeah, I mean that kind of thing. An older kind of experienced person, you know, could work with something like Aaron Ramsey. Should we whiz around on Aaron Ramsey as an idea? I'm quite an advocate of it myself.
Yeah. Steve, to the end of the season, say, you know, and you know, I'm not a fan of Warnock football. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of him, but he's got that presence in he, and he can get the best out of an average player. He gets players to believe, don't he? That's, you know, that's a gift, that is, you know, and he is good at that. And he had Ramsey under his wing, right? You know, this is what, putting suggestions over to him and all that, because Ramsey's been there, done it as a player, and he, you know, great footballer, played for Arsenal, Juventus, the best managers.
So did Reza. You know, if you want to call him Rizza, but I think it's Rizza.
Rizzler or Golden Virginia, whatever his name is, like, you know. But you know, but he's got the contacts as well, only Rambo, you know, and things like that, and you know, for players on loan, and you know,
I agree with you, John. I'll put that to the others. Because my take on it is that you know, we keep on expecting. I come to you, Gary, now. We keep on expecting. We keep on hoping, you know, all of a sudden the club's going to stun us by doing something that we all really love and gets us all on board, you know. And I think if they, I'll put it to you, Gary, if they did go with somebody like Aaron Ramsey, you know, say he's untried and all the rest of it, look at the managers he's played for, look at his, you know, look at his, how he's thought of in the game, look at the respect any player would surely have for him. He's on the books, he's not playing that much. And you know, with maybe an older head in there to help him out, I think it's a good call. And also, you know, he's a Cardiff legend. It might just get the fans behind him. And if we've got 1 point, we're miles away. If he keeps us up, he'd be a hero. You know. So, what do you think, Gary?
Well, I agree with John. You know, I think he has been finished as a player now. It was a lovely thing when he came back home, whatever, 18 months, a year ago, or whatever, and we all thought, oh, fantastic. And for 6 games, it looked okay, didn't it? But he's just too injury prone now. He's out till Christmas again or something, isn't he? So I would keep him at the club in some capacity, because I think he's, you know, I think possibly, but it's a big ask even with someone to, you know, just thrusting him into this. I don't know if he'd want that responsibility, Steve. You know, he's failed as a player really sadly, and would he want to be labelled as a somewhere connected managerial, you know, that takes us down? I don't know that. I think it's a bit too early, isn't it? You know, I think he'd be respected by all the players.
Player manager, you know.
Certainly keep him there in some capacity,
coach.
You know, player coach or whatever, or whatever. But managerially, as I said before, I think of the ones that Kyle mentioned earlier on. I think Tony Mowbray would be of the ones he mentioned, like Robert Mowbray and Tony Pulis, certainly not. I mean, he's just, you know, some of the ones mentioned I've managed for years of these. So I mean, but
he's a Newport boy, mind you know.
Yeah, but you know,
I'm a Cardiff fan.
But not from we tried everything. You know, it's like I think it's a romantic sort of thing with Nathan Jones, isn't it? You know, obviously he loves Cardiff, doesn't he? Goes down to Swansea and does the Ayatollah to him and giving him big style, and they absolutely hate him, don't they? So, but you know, romantically, it would be a fantastic one. But
we're football fans. We are romantics.
Yeah, but would he work down here? I mean, would he be too? I
think he's gone. Honestly, I'm not arguing with the Gary. Just saying, my personal opinion. I think he kind of have nothing to lose. He kind of where we're at right now. He kind of have nothing to lose, and you know, and he's at that stage in the career. If he needs the money, you know, I mean, he could probably retire tomorrow. And he's probably loaded, you know. But if he wants to continue his football career, then you know, to be coach of your local club from where you started as a kid. Not the worst.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, hasn't he got something like 4 years left of a contract up there with and he might be walking out on that, even if Cardiff are willing to pay a severance money to, and then he'd be walking into a 2-year contract, which might end in a 12-month time because we got relegated. What happens then? You know, and for people who say like going down and rebuild, like you do not want to go down to the first division. You do not. There's no. It's a long, long way back, you know, and all this, let's go down and rebuild and come back stronger. No, not for me. Not in a million years. We'll never get back. This team's been down there 10 years now, and they ain't going to get,
Well, look,
hard league to get out of.
Portsmouth were a Premiership club. They took them years, didn't it, to get back.
Yeah.
Steve, any thoughts on is it just fantasy football nonsense?
I think if you got the right person in with Ramsey to support him, then it might be a good idea. I think that at the moment he's very highly thought of. I don't want him to go the same way as Mark Hudson, who was completely out of his depth when he took over. Yeah. And I'd make a point about the managers as well. I didn't think that the Lamucci and the dear person that was Sol Bamba did a bad job when they came in 2 years ago. Yet they went, and that's when we brought in Bullitt. I mean, a lot of us were thinking if we would have gone forward with Lamucci, who did a good job at Forest, and obviously didn't seem to get on with the owners. He wasn't back to whatever. He came in. And he got Sorry Cabber in, or was he from the transfer committee? I think the transfer committee has had some differing results. I mean, Willett looked promising in the pre-season friendlies. He's not really done anything since, and I really think we're missing Carlin Grant because he was such a quality player. Maybe we don't really miss them until they're gone. I thought he's doing really well for West Brom this season. But I think going original question, Steve, if Ramsey were to get the right support, and I understand that him and Rawls were making representations to Errol Bullitt before he went about the tactics. If he thinks he can do it, and as John says, he's got his coaching badges, then if the right person's with him to support him, it could work. But again, is Tan being anti director of football going to hamper the plan to bring in somebody like Ramsey?
Well, I mean, again, John, that's a good point Steve makes there. Vincent Tan, it's effectively, he bankrolls it. It's his club. He can do what he wants, can't he? Yeah. Obviously, but with the Lamucci thing, I would have kept him on for another season personally and let him build, particularly when Sol was at the club.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But what I heard, his demands, Lamucci's demands were they're way off the Richter scale, So
well, maybe they were for I mean, I don't know what they were, but maybe they were for Vincent Tan, because then it comes into there's people who like him, there's people who don't like him, but that man, a lot of people in football have heard about Vincent Tan. He's quite a famous kind of figure. He's got a big personality, bit of an ego thing going on there. So who knows, who knows what he was asking for, and maybe just Vincent Tan put his foot down and he said that's it. And obviously the same with Errol Bullitt. Talking of which, Gary, where does that leave someone like Dalman? The Bullitt thing. Well,
I think you got to carry he had a meeting with the supporters, supporters club and trust and all that. Didn't he? That a week, usual thing. No, same old. I mean, he's a good politician, isn't he? He's fantastic. He said, "I take full responsibility." Well, yeah, because you're the one who fought to keep him in pre-season.
Yeah,
he appointed him.
Yeah.
He's Dalman is the same man. When he got Ollie on a Solskjaer, he said, "I'm the cat that's got the cream." When he appointed him, well, that went well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So he's definitely got a carry. But that's the worry, isn't it? The people at the club. Who the hell are we going to get in now as a manager? They look at like I said before, how long do you think it'll be before we appoint a manager? You can't just keep hanging on for weeks and weeks. You've got to get somebody in, but it'll just drag on. I can see about another 2 or 3 weeks before they get a full-time manager in after the international break. And that's just, you just wonder really, don't you? It's just, it beggars belief sometimes, but we're just going round and round and round, don't we? He's got to take full responsibility. He appointed him.
You would think, it was pretty clearly Dalman's decision.
Yeah.
And you got the same old thing with the hierarchy, Dalman and Chew and Tan and all the rest of it. You're absolutely right, Gary. It literally does go around in circles. But let me just come on to this one, because I'll come to you, John, on this if I can. Because actually, I'll go to Steve on this, and then I'll come to you, John, as well. About the fans. So the other week, I know John, a good mutual friend of ours, contacted me and said you've been up at Derby, and at the end of the match, the away fans, Steve, starting to turn on Bullet. And the point was made to me, which is perfectly true. Those away fans who travel the country following currently one of the worst sides in the English Football League, right? Week after week, because they love the club, they will, whatever any manager says about them, whether it's cultural ignorance or not, they will be here when that manager's gone. They will be here when that owner's gone. They will be here when the whole hierarchy is gone. They are the club, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're one of them, Steve, who travels the country, I mean, what the point from Jamie there, credit to the fans who travelled that way, which includes yourself, of course.
Yeah.
Once you lose the away fans, you've had it, haven't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely. But I think one point to make about, you mentioned Derby there. I took my daughter's boyfriend not to his first ever Cardiff City game, but his first ever football game at Derby. And his comment afterwards was how together the away fans were, how we were as one, all getting behind our team. And it was only at the end. Yeah, they did turn on them towards the end. It was mainly when the players came over, and there was a bit of an exchange between Callum O'Dowda and one person at the front. But as my daughter's boyfriend said, they were together. They were all together. We were all getting behind the team the whole game. And it was just the same on Saturday. There was nobody actually turning on them. I think on Saturday we realised that the players might not be good enough. They might not be playing the right position, but they were giving their best. And they came over at the end, with one or two notable exceptions. They came over at the end and they acknowledged us, and we were all clapping them at the end. I think somebody once said, you always clap your team off the pitch. Whether they lost 5, 6 or 7-0, you always clap your team off the pitch.
John, any thoughts on
that? Steve's right in what he's saying. I'll be honest with you, I didn't clap. I just felt so just deflated, I just felt felt numb. I love Cardiff City, and I just feels like the hierarchy are not listening to the fans enough. I really, really do, and sometimes I feel, I only speak for myself, I'm a million miles away from the club, even though I follow them everywhere, that I'm a million miles away from the club. That's how I feel. And it's like what Gary touched on, and he was right. I can remember us getting relegated with Durban in '85, and it took us till 2003 to get back up to the promised land.
Yeah, good point.
Right. Now, we are not a big club. We are not a sleeping giant. Like I said to my mates, Leeds have been there, Southampton have been there, Forest have been there, the 2 Sheffield clubs have been there. I still call it Division 3, right? But they were still getting their gates at 20,000 plus. They still get those big gates. You'd be lucky to get 10 down there next year. You'd be lucky to get 10. Very fickle, very fickle.
Oh, and what's your take on, John, on, don't want to kind of particularly personalize this to particular players, but are these current crop, are they, is it just they don't care? Is it like people say they don't even seem to care? Is it a lack of fight? Is it a lack of heart, lack of spirit, just picking up the money? Can they turn the corner?
Well, as you know, Steve, I love my boxing as well, and the great Marvin Hagler said it's hard to go out of bed with silk pajamas on, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Great line. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think this crop has got the stomach for it. There's no Joey Dwyers out there in it. Do you know what I mean? Be up for a fight, in it. As they were conceding the goals, there was no one's screaming at each other, and there's no one back in orders, It's I don't mean to be negative, but I'm a realist, but I think we're down. I really, really do. Because it's the circus continues. It's like what Gary touched on. I've been agreeing what Gary's been saying, and Steve, 150%. Most teams, if there's a problem, bang, they get on with it, don't they? And they appoint someone, don't they?
Yeah.
But it just goes
Stoke
on.
did, didn't they? Stoke did. They just got rid of the manager, and bang, the next day they had another one. Yeah.
And Preston did, didn't he? Preston did.
So I don't know whether you've seen the message there from Daniel on the screen, John, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Daniel. Yeah, he was up in Hull with me, Daniel Pritchard, with myself, Kyle Burston, Lee Huttonsaw, Dave Young. We were all up in Hull.
Dan's birthday today, is it?
Yeah, it's Daniel's birthday
Yeah.
today.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Dan. We can say something nice about you anyway, if nothing else. Yeah. So, just I gotta say this, right? It's in my mind. I'm gonna say it. Everyone's gonna hate me for saying this, right? It's terrible, I think, to say for a Cardiff City fan, but that if and I'll whiz around quickly on this as well, just for briefly. I'll go to Steve and then I go to Gary after you, John. Just a few words on this. You're a Swansea City fan, right? You're watching what's happening to Cardiff. Blimey, talk about Christmas coming early. It's just a farce, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the situation was reversed, we'd be conquering down the street, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah.
It's just embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is embarrassing. Capital city of Wales. It should be in the Premier League. It should be in the Premier League. We've had 2 chances and messed it up big time. And it was funny what you said, Steve. You 2 Steves. You touched on about the red and all that.
Yeah.
Now, when I was based over in Land of Court, Ian Walsh used to walk down with his spaniel and all that. Walsh, you played for Palace and Wales, and he played for Cardiff back in '88. I think he made his debut against Scarborough. I think
he's always been a jack to me, but
oh, he's a jack. He's a jack, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But he was telling me about Cardiff City, and one of the reasons why they appointed Solskjaer, because Mehmet and Vince Tan, they like Man United.
Of course they do. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the level at which they operate. It's
It is.
cultural ignorance is what it is.
Yes, of course it's cultural ignorance. Bang
Yeah.
on. We lost a lot of fans when that went red.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot of fans when he decided to go from blue to red. We lost a lot of fans. It was a palpably stupid and ignorant thing to do. But we're trying to move on from that, I suppose. But I think in the background is that they were with Man United. The fans will love them thing. It just says it all for me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Steve, do you want to come in on any of that?
Yeah, a lot of that actually. First of all, I think that if you look at the Swansea thing, I mean, come back to that. Was it 2005, 2006? They very nearly dropped out the league, didn't they? And then there was that crying Swansea fan on. It used to be on almost went viral. The crying Swansea fan on the football phone-in saying Cardiff City are going to the Premier League and we're going to drop out the league. And he burst into tears and said, "It's not fair. It's not fair." So what goes around comes around. Yeah, Swansea can look at us now. But I'm sorry, form's temporary, class is permanent. We're always the biggest club in Wales. They're always in the 70s. They were the nice little cousins down the road in the 4th division until Toshak took over. Nobody was really bothered about Swansea negatively. Secondly, on the managerial front, it comes down to the fact that we're not going to get somebody who'll take Cardiff City forward until we get somebody to look more long term. I don't want to go down. I was still a student standing on the terraces at Plough Lane in May 1985 when we got relegated, and it was 18 years until we got back. All a complete lifetime different. I don't want to go down now. But then again, the argument against that is if you look at Ipswich did a complete reset. They were looking at Kieran McKenna for quite some time until the time was right to get him in. And now look what's happened to them. He's taken up two leagues in 2 seasons. Who'd have thought that would have happened last season? I don't want to go down and have a reset. I'd rather have a reset in the Championship and go back up again. I don't want to be looking for train times to Stevenage. I want to be looking forward again. I love being in the Championship actually because I thought the Premier League is full of tourists. You got Liverpool and Manchester United. You're lucky if you hear a local accent at the game, and yet in the Championship you've got teams who are all Premiership wannabes really, and it's a very competitive league. Anybody can beat anybody in the Championship apart from us at the moment. But a bit of positivity to come in with just before I move on and pass this back to you, Steve, is that our last bad season, I think 30-31, when we the only season we've done nearly as bad as this, we did end up 4th.
Hey, I like it. Gary, do you want a quick comment on that, and then maybe we'll move on to Jeremy's question as well?
Yeah, like Steve said about going down and Ipswich resetting, but we would never reset, would we? We would get from bad to worse, and the value of the club would I mean, I don't know what Tan's game plan is really now, because he's, if we would get relegated, how much would the club be worth then? And like John said, and I know if we went down, we'd be lucky to get 10,000 gates next year, wouldn't we? Yeah. In reality, I'd be interested to see how many we actually get in the ground tomorrow night. and not what they announce. What is actually there in the ground tomorrow night? The actual turnout tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's not going to. It's not going to be.
It's not going to be men. It's
No,
not going to be
no.
men. So, but I mean, it sounds all doom and gloom, but I mean, on a current performance, what can you say? There is. I don't see much light at the end of the tunnel at the moment, and then just still waiting for the next manager to come in. So
I mean, there isn't a pill. Never mind any sugar, is there? Really.
No.
Jeremy's. I don't know if anyone's got any thoughts on that. Who I suppose it's very speculative. Who the consultants are the club are using?
Warnock was one they mentioned, wasn't it?
Warnock
was one,
might
wasn't
be
it?
one, isn't he?
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised.
Because he kept, he's done the magic before. It didn't work out last time, but I would imagine he would be one of them. I don't know who the other is. But let me just go. I'll stick with you for the second, Gary. Right? This is what it's like. It's all about opinions, and it always has been. Conflicting opinions, right? On Omar Rizza. So firstly, we got this one. He isn't good enough. Bullet has rubbed off on him. Get him gone. Get a Gary Rowett or a Tony Pulis, says Kyle, right? And then we got this from Jeff Dela Cruz. Hypothetically, we win tomorrow and on Sunday. What will the panel say about him then? Give the man a chance.
Well, personally, no, I wouldn't keep him anyway. I think we need an all new outlook on, like I said before earlier on in the show.
Yeah.
We need him out. Seen me mention about Tom Ramsett, really, isn't it? He's been through 4 or 5 managers, is it? He's kept all the backroom, all the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think he's a lucky boy as well. So all the backroom staff, not just the medical staff. I wouldn't keep Omar. It's too much of a gamble, really. In the same way as we said about Aaron Ramsey, but that would be a massive gamble as well. And
it would be, but again, I'd reiterate personally myself. I think that's the kind of thing which might just get the fans on board. If we're going down, let's have Aaron. Let's put a battle in there. Let's get Aaron Ramsey in there.
Would he want that on his CV, though, Steve? Would he want that on his CV? Like,
I'm not saying
the manager who took. I mean, it's like everything else, isn't it? Like somebody mentioned, Mark Hudson. He was a good player for us, a good captain. But he was just ceremoniously dumped on, and he had to go. I mean, he was just disastrous as a. But in hindsight, that's probably the worst thing he ever did, wasn't it? Take that on, and then he leaves the club. Then he gets bombed out of the club, and I think it's a big gamble. It's a real big gamble. All
right, that's fair enough. So, John, what's your thoughts on Reese's comment there that the fact that the club have hired an outsiders, I suppose, to find out the next manager says Tan has no trust in Darman? I mean, there's probably a grain of truth in that, isn't there?
Yeah, a bit of truth in that. And Bullet wanted that's Dalman's. That was his mate, wasn't it? Bullet. That was his mate. That's why he got him the job, isn't it? And like what Gary said, like you move heaven and earth, like to make sure you had that 2-year contract. Like God, it was one of the worst summers of my life. Like when he get, oh jeez, I just couldn't believe it. Like jeez. But yeah, a bit of truth in that, But club desperately needs a director of football. Desperately needs a director of football. But after what happened with Moody and all that, and McCoy, I can't see that happening as well.
Yeah, that again. I'm sorry. I apologize for bringing it up, but we were talking about the red shirts thing earlier, and then we're back on the Malky Mackay thing and the Moody thing. This stuff, Steve, with somebody like, well, I suppose any person who's financed in the football club, but Vincent Tan's got a big personality. He's not going to forget, is he?
No, he's not. He's not going to forget at all. Can I just come back and actually respond to, I think it was Jeff's point about giving Rizza a chance if he wins the next 2 games? I would say, Jeff, that we looked a complete shambles on Saturday, and he's going to have a complete turnaround, a complete tactical nous injection in order to turn it around tomorrow. I think. Yeah, I would. As I said earlier, I would love us to beat Millwall tomorrow night. I would love us to beat Bristol on Saturday, but I cannot see with the personnel he's got. He's always saying he's more attacking, but it cannot, as I said earlier, be at the expense of defence. He's got to look at the whole team. There's only 11 players on the pitch to work out. I would like to see. I would like to see him reorganise the team a bit better. But has he got the personnel to do it?
Okay, there's a comment here from Jeff, which is quite interesting. About Aaron Ramsey. quite a strong opinion that he's basically, in his opinion, moving the club backwards. A shame, but he's a liability taking room up in the squad. I mean, I think, you know, like you said, Gary, when we signed Aaron Ramsey, you know, it was a beautiful thing. You know, he's coming home and all the rest of it. But I think we knew in our hearts that you know, his better days are behind him, and it probably was likely that he would have a number of injury and health fitness issues. Gary, didn't we?
Yeah, it's beyond a joke now, though, Steve. I you know, I mean, you know, he played 6 games last year. We didn't see him till after Christmas, way after Christmas. He's out till Christmas again now, and he's contributed very little on the field, isn't he? In you know, in 2 years, you know, all the time he's been back down here now, unfortunately. You know, he's just not. He just can't keep fit, can he? You know, it's pointless having. You could have the best player in the world if he's not fit to play. He's not going to impact the team, is he? So, sadly, but you know, that's just reality. I'll be more concerned at the moment trying to get Darlin fit again. Apparently, he's back in like training. Apparently, so fingers crossed he can. Because I mean, after the next international break, thank God he's coming. Really, the way we're, you know, gives us another manager in another 10 days. So, because I think 3 of the next 4 fixtures after the international break are at home. We got Portsmouth and Plymouth in consecutive games. We got to start winning soon. We got to start winning against teams, you know, around, you know, you know, Portsmouth. You know, we've got to, you know, or we're in, you know.
Well, I spent last week
something then.
Last week in Bulgaria with a bunch of Portsmouth fans, you know.
Yeah,
and they're currently above us, you know, and that's quite painful.
Well, everybody else is. I mean, one, you know, 2 goals, you know, 1 minus, God knows. I mean, just a shambles at the moment, aren't we? So, but that after the international break, you know, we got a fingers crossed. We got everybody fit, Darlin fit, because he does look a decent. You know, he's probably the best centre half we've got down there on the game and half we've seen of him probably at the moment.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a comment here, Gary. Sorry, from Paul, and of course, you know, Tony Mowbray has quite significant health issues, but Mowbray with a new bunch of coaches to change it up, you know, been there and done it. I mean, it's kind of that kind of stature. Maybe, you know, we've tried the youngsters, haven't we? You know, we've had a whole series of coaches, including Neil Harris, really. You know, younger people, been and gone. You know, and you can see. I think you're probably right what you said earlier about Warnock being one of the consultants at the moment. You know, how do we keep Cardiff in the division? How do we keep City in this division? You know, we can't afford to go down. So maybe somebody like that. You know, that's what they're talking about. John, anyone else you were thinking of? You would like? You know, I know you mentioned Aaron Ramsey. Anyone else?
Tony Mowbray, you know, being there, done it. It's not a bad shout. It's difficult. God, nothing's ever easy with Cardiff City, innit? Nothing. You know, only Mowbray I could think of really, and maybe Rowett, like, you know, because they have got the experience, you know. But these players got to start fighting now. As far as I'm concerned, we're in a relegation point.
Well, then, I mean,
and that fight for everything now.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably you could definitely, you know, 11 younger ones anyway, but 11 City fans on the pitch, you go more fight, that's for sure. You know, I don't think they're fighters. I think they're you know, they're kind of pretty footballers. You know, they're not really battlers. They're not really fighters. You know, Jason Perry, you mentioned Jason Perry earlier. You know, Jason Perry, Phil Dwyer, these kind of people. Blimey, you know. They wouldn't put up with that apparent lack of fight. I think Geraint might be joking there. I'm not quite sure, because I think you've got a certain assistant we may not want to see at Cardiff City. But one thing we could possibly consider as we go into the last few minutes tonight is, you know, if you're going to shake it up and you're going to change things, I'll start with you, Steve. Change of formation. You know, and you know I always bang on about 3-5-2, particularly we're running out of defenders now. You know, a bit of width. Let's get some solidity in midfield. Have 2 up front. Let's score some goals. Maybe we might win.
Yep, I agree that a change of formation would be a good thing. Maybe a 3-5-2. However, we have to look at the squad and say, who have we got who could fit in with that? If we're going to have 2 forwards, are we going to play on the basis of what we got at the moment? Are we going to have to play Kanga with
Robinson
up front? Because we've not.
That might be better. Yeah, it might be better for Kanga. He's a big man, small man. Maybe that would work better for him.
Yeah. I think I've always thought that Robinson was a better full striker. And again, the chance that fell to Kanga on Saturday, unfortunately, Robinson was off the pitch then. And we also have the shot from Colwell that was pushed out by the rather suspect Hull goalkeeper. And unfortunately, I think Callum Robinson was about a yard too far on. And had we got back into it at that point, then it may have been a slightly different game. But I think if we're going to change. If we're going to change anything, we need to change it over a period of time, a gradual change. Because I think at the moment, if we go to change the formation on the basis of 2 days preparation with Millwall tomorrow night after the way we played against Hull, it's got to be something more gradual, and somebody's got to look at it. I think just in one of the comments there about Barry Murphy, that could be the sort of manager that we possibly need to look at. But again, we need to actually take a chance. Are we going to take a chance on somebody, or are we going to go for the tried and tested managerial merry-go-round of people like Mowbray and Gary Rowett? Are we going to go down the taking that chance venue of Ipswich did with Kieran McKenna, or are we going to go for somebody who let's just get us fourth and bottom, and then see where we go from there? But at the moment, what we seem to do is stay fourth or fifth and bottom, unfortunately.
All right, Gary, quickly on tactics. You don't think it needs a change?
Yeah, we played this two-winger lark for the last 12 months now.
On the wrong foot.
On the wrong foot wingers, and I think we got to try two up front. Just pick one winger, whoever, just pick the one wing, go three up, at least two up front, because it's not as if our wingers are putting cross after cross after cross into the box anyway, aren't they? They just come in field, it's right back to the Bowler and Grant days, and then you've got, you're trying Tanner now, you've got Willock, you've got El Ghazi, you've got, so I think we got to try something different. But going back to Steve's point, I don't think we will, in our current predicament, I don't think we'll go for a progressive manager, if you like that, like a Barry Murphy or that Kieran McKenna type, because I think they'll panic too much. I think they're more likely to pick somebody, another firefighter. I don't think they'll go long term again, because I don't think they've got any long-term strategy. It's just fighting one relegation after another, really, isn't it? We got out of jail 2 years ago, but we stayed comfortably last year. But how the hell, like John said, some of the games last year, how we went away from home in a lot of them, God only knows. We scored in 2 goals in 9 minutes added on time at Preston, and Sunderland we scored 1 minute from the air. How the hell we got, and I think that blurred the thing in the end. We got 63 points, didn't we? Oh, we got to 63 points.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird season, wasn't it?
It was a weird season. It was a weird season, yeah.
Unbelievable amount of comments coming in tonight. So again, I often say this, but if you get a chance to look through the thread, there's some unbelievable amount of comments, which again, John, is testament to the best player this club has is its fan base. What an amazing fan base, really.
Oh yeah, it's all there. Fantastic stadium. They got the House of Sport. They got that new complex down in Lanrunny. At the Vale, everything's there. There's no excuses. Like fantastic facilities and all that. The academies, and they get these youngsters in. It's like I said, like Sunderland's oldest player is 24.
Yeah.
We're like Dad's Army out there. Flipping out, geez. But as I said, the best players are out on loan. I just don't get it. I think, only my opinion, I think Joe Cole's just as good, if not better, than Ruben. I thought Ruben had a terrible game Saturday, trying all this fancy stuff and all these flicks and all this nonsense. And the play we didn't mention, I thought who did well when he come on was Riddermochter.
Yeah, he did all right, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Jack Allen, by the way, Jack Allen needs a mention as well.
Yeah,
but what does that tell you when you keep us on the blind every week, innit?
He makes some really good saves.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse,
A lot worse.
So, apologies for those people who rather us be really positive and say things are great, but they aren't. So there we are. So we'll just whiz around now. So we got 2 big games this week. We got the Millwall tomorrow. Neil Harris returns, and then of course we got Bristol City away. So Steve, how many points from us to?
6 points, and Rizra get the job.
Excellent. I was almost believing you then.
Thank you, Pinocchio.
Gary.
Oh, I don't know, Steve. I'm just like Steve. I'd love to say we could win tomorrow. Just get that monkey off our back and go to Bristol and not get
Wouldn't that
beat.
be lovely?
It would. 2 points, mate. In our wildest dreams, I think it's a big thing. I don't know. I'm not looking to. It's just after the international break, then we've got to start then, because as I said, after that, tomorrow, I don't know. I'm not very optimistic, Steve,
Okay.
to be honest. That's just the way it is at the moment.
I preferred Steve's answer, but John?
I talked to my mate Neil Smith earlier, and Neil likes to see that glass half full, and I try to try and be positive, but I just can't. I just can't see anything positive, to get the juices going. Like, I can't see us winning the game. Like, I can't see us getting anything tomorrow against Millwall. They're never easy to play against Millwall and Bristol City. I just can't see us getting anything. I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
just being truthful.
Yeah, no. You got to say. I think ultimately you got to say how it is. Well, thank you, the three of you, for a great conversation about Cardiff City. Let's hope things pick up, and let's hope that Gary and John are wrong and Steve is right. But there we are.
I hope you're right, Steve, as well, mate.
I'm really there.
Cheers, all. Nice one, guys.
Cheers, lads.
Good night, gents. God bless.